Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to Financial Lovemaking, where we talk about love, life, money, and everything in between. I'm here with my buddy, partner, and co-host, Miss S. Tia Brown, who is a lifestyle expert and licensed therapist out of New York. How are you doing today, Tia?
I'm doing well. How are you? You did a great job with that introduction. Gold star for Dr. Watkins.
I know, and it took me, like 5 years to get it right?
Couple of months.
But you're always evolving.
You know how men are.
I know, right? But you know, you're always evolving, so that's my excuse. You know, you went back to school and became a licensed therapist, so then I had to add that in, and then you just done all this TV and radio and all this other stuff, and speaking of transitions, you and I were talking about transitions and how actually being forced into a transition in your life can be good for you, right? That sometimes we get laid off and we're like, oh my God, my job, like what am I gonna do? And then maybe one day you wake up and realize that you were kind of forced now into dealing with and doing the things that you had been putting off for so long because things were too comfortable. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I think all of us have either experienced a layoff or had someone who close to us who's experienced a layoff. And usually the initial response is what? Panic. What am I going to do? How am I going to eat? And then there are also feelings of rejection because you've given your all to a job. You felt somewhat secure. Even if you didn't have a 100% performance, there is some type of expectation that this job will be there for you. So you're dealing with those two major emotions. And in the midst of that, you have to create a plan. And we see lots of people who experience this. And this is not just like layman, everyday people like us, superstars. They lose endorsement deals. They have tours that fail. And financially, this is a huge loss. So I think it's really important, whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship, to really start thinking about how I will deal with that transition in life. Because more likely than not, it will happen. Studies have shown that more than half of Americans get laid off at this point. There was a time when you were in a job for life. All right, you got a pension, you not graduated, you retired, you got a pen or a fancy gold watch, and then you kind of like just withered away somewhere. But now your life isn't going to be most likely working at the same place for more than 5 or 6 years. I know personally, I haven't been at one job for more than 6 years yet. So that transition is something that you should come to expect. So I have some tips, some suggestions, a little bit of, a few jewels that I'll give in terms of how to deal with that. The first one is it's important to assess your skills. What am I good at? What do I need to improve at? What would I like to learn? To make me better, more viable in the marketplace. I know Boyce's big thing is, do I want to go back into the job market, or do I want to create my own stream of wealth, because entrepreneurship is big. The second thing is really creating that vision. So again, speaking to, what will my next move look like? Will it be me, having a job? Will it be me, entering a partnership with someone else? The next thing I would say is really addressing fears. There's anxiety that goes with every move, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional. Am I good enough? Do I have enough resources? Do I have enough time in order to make this transition and still sustain myself financially? And then the last one is the hardest part. It's creating the plan. How am I going to make this vision a reality? And plans are very different from vision. And I like to say this all the time, because plans require tangible, incremental steps, not just big ideas. The plan is, how am I going to get from point A to B? If I want to be a teacher, now do I need to go back to school? If I want to be a business person, do I need to get an MBA? Does that require me to have a part-time job? Am I going to jump into the entrepreneurship pool? Do I have my resources in line? Have I done a business plan? What is the order that I need to do things in order to attain and achieve the goal that I want? So, like I said, like we both said, it's very unnerving when you're pushed into a transition financially. But you can come out, for the most part, in a much happier position if you do the work.
Yeah, well, I would almost say that losing a job is like losing any other partnership. It can be compared to losing a relationship. And sometimes we may be in a dead relationship and we know we need to end it. We know we need to leave. But it takes a lot of discipline to end a relationship, because you got to deal with the insecurity of losing the person that you care about, or, the fear of the unknown, or just sheer laziness. Sometimes we're just too lazy to do what we know we need to do. And sometimes, sometimes life has a way of smacking us into reality and forcing us to do the things that we never wanted to do, that we kept putting off. And I can just think of times, and I'm transitioning what you're saying about the layoff to relationships, because that's how I can connect this. That's where the financial lovemaking ideas kind of come from. Is, a partnership is a partnership, and I can remember a time where where I was in a relationship with a woman where it wasn't working, and it was a huge financial strain on me, and but neither one of us ended it, and eventually she ended it, and I was absolutely devastated. But within about 6 months, I was actually willing to send her a thank you card. I didn't do that, but I thought about it because it forced me to go out into the world and to discover new opportunities and to realize, that there were better situations for me. And what I found was that years later, when I was laid off, from a job, I remember feeling the same way. I remember feeling a little bit of sadness, a little bit of loss from losing something that I valued. But at the same time, I said, maybe if I go out here with the right attitude and attack it the right way, I can do all the things I've been dreaming of doing, all the things I knew I needed to do, but never really had the energy to do it. And guess what? My life was so much better. Not only did I made more money, but that wasn't really the best part. The best part was I just had a better life. I was picking up new skills. I was doing stuff that I loved every day. I was working on my own schedule. I mean, it was absolutely the best feeling humanly imaginable. And I also became a stronger, better person in terms of business and life, because there's something about things being easy that does make us weak. There are things about complacency that makes us stale and incapable of adapting. And when I found myself as an entrepreneur, I learned how to kill what I ate, so to speak. I learned that if I don't get off my butt and go make it happen, it ain't going to happen. And that's a little bit of pressure at first. First, you're like, oh my God, I'm used to sitting there and waiting for somebody to deliver a paycheck to me. But eventually you're like, wait a minute. Yeah, I do have the challenge of going out and killing what I eat, so to speak. But I have the opportunity of knowing that the more I kill, the more I eat. The harder I work, the more I make. And you don't really get that usually on a job. Usually, the harder you work, the more your employer makes. And I think that transition can be a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I agree. And I love the analogy you made between jobs and relationships, because both of them are scary transitions, but life-changing, because these are the two most significant relationships in your life. Your relationship with work or employment or finances, and your relationship interpersonally. So I think that the biggest lesson here is to make sure that you are fearless in everything you do and go for what will make you happy. As long as it's healthy. Always got to add that in. As long as it's healthy, go for what makes you happy. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.